Hi guys, I'm here to share another lovely issue of the Creative Stamping magazine. This is the latest one and this is issue 148 and we have got the cutest stamp set to go with this. So we have this lovely summer gnomes stamp set. It's an A4 stamp set and it is jam-packed with some cute gnomes and all the different accessories. Now you can see that some of the gnomes do not have faces, but there are little faces that you can use them on those. And also all the different things that they can hold, like the ice creams, the flowers, the drinks, the melon, they all have those little hands on them. So there's lots of different techniques that you can use with these gnomes to make them real cute and personalized. We have some accessories like the glasses, the flowers, loads of other things. I love the caravan. And then we have this little stamp set from Altenew with this lovely toadstool mushroom eyes. How cute is this? So we have lots of sentiments. Have a groovy birthday. There's nobody like you. Congratulations. I'm rooting for you. Have a wild day. You know me so well. Holy shiitake. Welcome, gnome. And then we have hello and nice to see you from Altenew. So this is a really fun stamp set. I really enjoyed working with this and I cannot wait to show you what I made. So this issue again comes with downloadable papers and I had to use those papers. Now I don't have them in here with me, but I had to focus on two in particular from those papers, the strawberry and the mushroom one. So the first card that I made, this circle one in here, I've paper pieced over the caravan in there and then I colored over that one. That's really fun technique. I really love that and I love how it turned out. It changed the look of that caravan completely by having pattern paper. Now I only added pattern paper on the top, but you can also do that on the bottom as well. I've added glossy accents on this one too to emphasize the strawberries, the windows, the door. And this one was paper paste from several layers, so the door was cut out and placed then back on top and so on. So that was really dimensional caravan. I really love how it turned out. And I added have a wild day. This is circle card using that mushroom paper in there. And here you can see all those papers. So there's some lovely scene papers too, which I was not to use for this feature, but they are really fun. And I have some lovely ideas on how I'm going to use this stamp set. So then I made this one here where I used this flat fold where I printed the paper, different design on each side in there. I added these two gnomes and I used masking paper, masking technique to add all the different elements onto them and I think they turned out so cute. I will show you close-ups by the way at the end of this video, so please stay tuned. The sentiment I used, there's nobody like you. I think it went very well with those two in there. For this one I used this style effect with the hexagons in there and I used the different papers that I was asked to use in there. And I'm rooting for you. And again, he is holding that drink and there you can pick up on that little hand in there. I think it's just so cute. So then I made this lovely heart-shaped one, which I really loved. It turned out much better than I anticipated, I think. So I used alcohol markers, so they are real nice and strong colors on that one. This one says Welcome Gnome, and I used that Altenew stamp in there. Used some bunting, and the little gnome holding the flowers as if welcoming someone home. And for this one in here, I use this paper weaving, so this bit is cut away from the card, so it's completely see-through. And have a groovy birthday, and I added those two gnomes in there just playing. And some toasters in the background as well. How cool is that card? I really love how this turned out. So now I'm going to link in the video I recorded way back then when I had to submit this commission. And I will also leave a link to this magazine on the Craft World website. But first I would like to show you some more inspiration from the magazine using this stamp set. So first up we have Rebecca Davis with some really cute cards. I love how she colored this in, and I do believe she used coloring pencils. Yes, pencils for that. I really struggle with pencils, so this to me looks amazing. It's like a painting. And then this is one of the lovely scene papers that you can get and download. And then we have this here. I love how the gnome is poking out from behind the caravan. Really cute. And then we have Vanessa, who made all occasion makes for men. So she shows you how you can turn these into masculine cards as well, which is really, really cool. Just change up the colors, use the different gnomes, and yeah, I think they look absolutely fantastic. There's nobody like you. I really love this one in here. And then we have Gemma, who used the paper downloads to create stylish shaped cards. I love this tunnel fold in here. Again, the gnomes are coming in all different directions. I think that's really, really cute. And then we have one with an oval topper. We have, this is like a Z fold card. And you can see how you can just stamp it and you don't have to color it in. Those papers really speak for themselves. It's really cute. So, and then we have two more in here, and I absolutely love this one in here. I think she printed out the same paper several times and cut them out, and just you see how I layered them in there. That's really, really lovely technique. I might give that one a go myself, because I really, really love that one. So the next one is Helen, who made summertime crafting fun with these feminine cards for all occasions. So she's going to show you in here in pictures how to do that technique in there, which is really, really lovely. And then we have some lovely shaped cards in there. I love this one in here, how she did that background as well. I think she must have heat embossed, maybe with white embossing powder over that pink card. It's really, really lovely. And there's one that uses arches as well. Then there's mine. We have Martin, who makes clean and simple cards look so easy. Now, I really love these. I do struggle with clean and simple cards. My cards are always OTT. So this is really interesting to me. And what I find very interesting that I noticed on all of his cards, he used staples in the corner. So folded up the corners like a wee concertina fold and added staples to hold them down for some added interest. How clever is that? Really, really cute, and I think it goes well with the theme. And now I'm just going to very quickly show you. So next time in Creative Stampings we have some lovely floral stamps, summer florals with some additions from Chloe's Creative Cards, and I can tell you that these are going to be beautiful as well. So keep an eye out for the next issue as well. But for now I'm going to link the video that I made when I created cards using this gorgeous stamp set. Okay, so for card number 1, I went with a 5 by 7 inch card, and I created this curtain fold. I printed 2 different designs on each side of the paper, and then the instructions are in the description of the card in the magazine on how I created, where I scored, and how I cut it at an angle. You can see I added glitter to this, and I also added glitter to the mat. This one is raised upon foam pads. I also have a vellum wrapped around the top part of that pattern paper in there, just to tone it down a little bit so the little gnomes can shine. So I used masking techniques in here. First of all, I stamped the glasses and the ice cream. I masked them off, and then I stamped the gnome on top of it before coloring them in and cutting them out. You can also see I added some glitter onto the hats and some glossy accents to the glasses and the ice cream. I hope you can pick up on all that gorgeous shine. It's so lovely. So the mushrooms in the background, the foliage, the flower, and the strawberries in here, I've printed these out from the pattern papers, and I printed them out in all different sizes, and I cut them out just to add some decoration in the background. And how cool does that look? There's nobody like you. It's like a kind of, you match my crazy. I really love how this card turned out. I think it's really, really cute. I definitely think this one is groovy. Okay, so card number 2, I went with another rectangle one. This time it's a top folding 6 by 4 inch card, and I added a holographic mat, a green layer, and then used hexagonal dies to die cut 3 different sizes of white, colored and pattern paper. So you can see some of the hexagons have 3 layers, some of them have only 2, and I popped each hexagon up on a foam pad to add it to my card at an angle, just covering 1/2 of it. For the topper in here, I die cut from vellum a scalloped circle, from pattern paper a straight edged one, and then another a scalloped one of white. You can see it in there. And then I stamped, heat embossed and colored in using coloring pencils, the gnome, the fire and the glass. Now while on my first card I used masking technique, so it's all on a 1 layer. In here I've stamped, heat embossed and colored in the glass separately. I cut it out and I just glued it on the top of the gnome. So that's another way you can use it. You can really pick and choose which way you like to use these different elements, because there's so many ways that you can add interest to this. As you can see, this gnome in here was the one without the face, and I just stamped in a face in there as well. So, and it says I'm rooting for you, and that's also popped up on foam pad. And I just finished decorating with some rhinestones. They are AB silver rhinestones, means that they have all the gorgeous colors coming through them, and they really match well with the background in there on the holographic cardstock. Now when I started to make this card, I wasn't sure if I wanted to cover the whole front of it or just some of it, so I had a few hexagons left over and I just used them to decorate the inside. So that's card number 2. How cute is that? I really love these. Card number 3, I went with an arch shape card. To create my card base, I cut out 2 of the same arches. I scored one of them at 3/4 of an inch, and I used that as a hinge to attach my card front to. With a smaller one, I die cut some of the pattern paper, which you can see I resized. The details are quite tiny on that one there. And then with a smaller arch, I left a few sizes inside the box, and I took out one smaller one, just of plain white card. I ink blended 2 different blues. These were the tumbled glass and the salty ocean distress oxide to create that blue background in there. This one is a hilly die cut of the green cardstock, to which I stamped welcome gnome. And then I stamped and heat embossed all these images, colored them in using alcohol markers, and then I've cut them out. Some of these I added into the background, you see, or glued straight onto that background. Then I added this frame using a foam tape. This is all raised up on foam tape. And then some of the elements like this gnome and half of the bunting are actually glued to the frame and then popped up on foam pads as well to make it level with the height of the frame. And I think it's such a lovely card. It looks like you're opening the door and you're looking out onto that gorgeous scene in there. I really love this one, how this turned out. I think this one's my favorite, but then again it's hard to call because all these gnomes are so pretty and fun to work with. So card number 4 is a square shaped card. I went with a paper weaving technique for this one. You can see it in there, it's see-through. So I took a 7 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches of a card, and I scored it down at 5 inches. And then I was left with this flap in here, which comes down about halfway in there. And then I also cut a piece of card to 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches. I lined these up on the front of the card, or I lined this bottom bit up with the bottom of the card in there. And to create this woven pattern, I cut out strips of colored cards to 3/8 of an inch, and then all different pattern papers to 1/4 of an inch. And I created this woven pattern on top of the 2 bits of a card, so the front flap and this thin strip on the bottom. And then I covered those up. On the bottom I added green cardstock, on the top I added red. To decorate it a bit, I added an additional red 1/8 of an inch strip all along the top of that green card, and then I added a 5 by 2.5 inches of the pattern paper in there. stamped and heat embossed and colored in the images. I used watercoloring technique, and to color these in I used my distress oxidings, except the toadstools, to which I use this pearlescent watercolor ink. It gives that lovely gorgeous shine. I'm not sure you can pick up on camera, but there's so much mica powder in there. Those toadstools really shine in there. So I added some ovals just to grind those toppers a bit, or the gnomes a bit in there. And this one says have a groovy birthday. I stamped this using the lumberjack plaid distress oxiding and heat embossed it with clear embossing powder. And this finishes off card number 4. And finally, last but not least, for card number 5, I created a circle card which stands up beautifully because I cut away a bit on the bottom. So the whole card in here measures 6.5 inches, and I added a red circle, scallop circle. Then the next size down, these are from Chloe's Creative Cards, scalloped and pierced edge circles. I really love using that die set. I used the next size down from pattern paper with all the lovely toadstools on it. Then I skipped the size, and with the next one I've cut out one pattern paper, which is that blue floral design, one green, and then one from vellum. So I've cut the green down in half. I think I added like a wavy pattern in it, but I just hand cut that, not much shows of it at all, so you can just cut that straight as well. Just to add a little bit of a grinding in there for all my elements. And then I covered it up with vellum because I wanted to tone it down a bit. I really wanted my elements to shine. I didn't want it to be too overwhelming and too busy. And then I've cut out a frame using the next size down from pink card just to frame it up a bit. I used alcohol markers to color in all these images, and I used heat embossing with black ink and clear embossing powder for my sentiment as well. Now the caravan, it was a work of it was a labor of love, I wanna say. It took me quite a while. It might not look like, but it took me such a long time to make this caravan. Let me walk you through it a bit. So the caravan, I stamped it 4 times, once on that pattern paper and 3 times on white card. I've cut one out, and that gave me the base, so one is in a hole in there underneath. And then the pattern paper one, I cut just the top part off. I added color to it using my alcohol markers to all those dots and the bunting in there. And then on a white card, I've colored in using alcohol markers all this bottom part. And then I also added some strawberries, which are from one of the papers which I printed out to small details. So I cut out some of the strawberries, I glued them onto that wine, and I added glossy accents to those. So, and then I've cut this part out, but I've cut off the exhaust and I cut off the bottom part of the step. So those are from the bottom layer. I don't know if you can pick that up. So there's so many layers going on that doesn't really show on the camera, but there's really a lot going on that little camper van. From the 3rd white card, I've cut out the door and the window, colored them in, added glossy accents to those as well, and then I glued them onto the caravan. I want to say I worked quite a long time on that caravan, but I think it was worth it. I think it turned out super pretty. I was really chuffed with how it turned out. So I popped it up on foam pads, and so I did this gnome pet. I don't know what kind of an animal it is. It's a little gnome pet, and it's so cute. So obviously I was working with the color scheme that I was given, so I added a pinkish color to the pet. And then glued on some flowers, again colored in with alcohol markers, and I think it is so pretty. So I was asked to use all different coloring mediums to color in this. So alcohol markers on this one. On a card number 4, I used distress oxidings and the pearlescent watercoloring. On card number 3, I used alcohol markers again, so these 2 alcohol markers. On card number 2, I used coloring pencils, and on card number 1, I used Aqua Markers by Spectrum Noir. So these are my 5 cards completed. Do let me know which one is your favorite. I think they are all so seriously cute and lovely and colorful. I really hope I matched the groovy kind of a vibe with these that I was asked to do. So yeah, I was quite delighted to receive this commission. It is really fun to work with. So if you would like to check out the magazine, I will leave a link to it in the description box below. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you will not miss out on any future videos that I will upload. Hit the like button if you like what you see, leave me a comment below, and if you would like to share my videos with your crafty friends, I would really appreciate that. Every single interaction will help me get seen on YouTube, and this is why I do it. So I will be back very soon with another tutorial. Until then, bye!